Welcome everyone, it's Gina here from Expanding Consciousness and I have Marcel Hof here. Welcome Marcel.
Thank you.
So today we're going to talk about something truly exciting. I am so blessed and so excited to say that Marcel Hof is coming to New Zealand. He's coming back in May and he is doing his world's first facilitator training in breathwork and cold immersion, and it's upgraded with shamanic drumming, with quantum hypnosis and movement. It's truly unique and I'm partaking in it. I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to going through the whole experience. And for anyone who is new to knowing Marcel and understanding who he is, you may recognize the surname. He's the brother of Wim Hof. He has done over 40 years or more of experimentation and learning and study and all that around breath work. It's been your life, hasn't it, ongoing for like the last 40 something years. And that's also with cold immersion because you've done so many different events and pushed yourself through the human potential to swim under the ice, I believe, and putting yourself into extreme circumstances, really testing your own human ability, human potential, more than anyone else I know. So I think it's quite remarkable. You're here fit and healthy at 58 years of age, doing things that 30-year-olds can't do. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Marcel, a little bit about your background, and then we'll talk a little bit about the facilitator training that we're doing here in New Zealand.
Yes, thank you for having me. I'm Marcel Hof. They say I'm 58, but just I read or saw something yesterday that they can change the telomere. That means you're aging. So it's not what is 58. It's just also a conditioning. So even age is a conditioning. If you keep on believing that, you affect even yourself. So let's begin with the first and most important part, your mind. How can you influence the physical part? So the material, the substance in which we are living and which we are, this body, this beautiful body. So believing that story that we are aging, maybe it's not true. Maybe we are aging because we believe it and buy into it. So it's with everything you can influence with your mind, your state of physique, your mental state, and that's very important. So how we use all these circumstances, physically, mentally, that will be very important. Okay, a little introduction about who I am. I'm Marcel Hof, brother of Wim Hof. Got 6 other brothers, but as the youngest brothers, I trained the most with Wim. I was 13, he was 18. And from then on, going until now, 58, they say, but I don't believe it, because I'm becoming physically better. So it's just a conditioning, but it's like for 45 years, we trained that. So we did a long time of conditioning, trying out all kinds of physical, mental exercises. I think maybe there are people who are doing even more extreme things, but it's trying out in all kinds of exercises, physically and mentally. So not only in one way, not only in running, but also yoga, swimming under the ice, sitting in ice, climbing, walking on bridges on the edge. So all these things just to come in a state where you are more witness and all the circumstances are just happening. So the more you see that, the more you become relaxed in whatever circumstances, the more you can focus yourself and you feel that you got choice. So the little introduction, 6 brothers, 2 sisters, brought up in, a lot of fight also mentally, physically, but also beautiful because of this friction, something new can explode, something new can be created. So we need friction sometimes, we need challenge to wake up with all the senses. And then you feel life makes sense. You feel with all the senses. Not only from your head, but with all the senses, you feel your total body, then you feel the connection, which is natural. So I'm all about getting this natural connection back, which is already our birthright. That's the way we came here. But during the conditioning, during the programming, during the education, we lose that part. So how to unprogram, uncondition, and just go back to this natural state. That is the message.
It's wonderful. Now, you're from the Netherlands. It's a long way from New Zealand. I mean, I'd like to say almost the opposite side of the world. So, what's bringing you back to New Zealand, and why are we the lucky ones that get to have you doing the world's first facilitator training here in New Zealand?
Uh, why are you the lucky ones? Because you're lucky. You've got a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful country with a lot of abundance, natural abundance. And also, I feel the consciousness there is especially moving. Also, the people, the land is moving because of all the earthquakes. The natural beauty is overwhelming. So you just have to adjust to all this natural rhythm. So I think the people have all got already a basis of naturalness. The nature helps. But at the same time, it's very beautiful. People are very open, I found, in New Zealand for new ways of seeing life, a new playing with your body, open to these new things. And at the same time, I came here because 5 years ago, my partner Anisha went many times to Australia and also knew people in New Zealand. I just followed her because I like her and she likes me. And so together we did a lot of traveling and a lot of discovering of the country, but also of our own personality. So this ongoing change of circumstances, who are you and what is happening with you during this change of circumstances? And especially in New Zealand, where there is a lot of nature and you can go alone in nature, you encounter a lot of different situations. So it has its beauty. So why? Because I think it's one of the most beautiful countries in the world.
Well, we're privileged to have you here. And I have to agree, New Zealand has a very diverse landscape. And I know that there are situations that come up from time to time that either through personal experience or seeing through our media, we witness within New Zealand, people can go bushwalking, weather can change, and they can get caught out, or they can go skiing on the mountains, an avalanche might happen, they might get caught out in the cold somewhere. And it's interesting because understanding your techniques with breathwork and cold immersion, in the back of my mind, there's always a thing of, I'm so grateful that I'm starting to condition my body and learn these techniques, because I never know when I'm going to be in a situation where it could be of use, where I might need it. Now, of course, I'm mentioning more emergency and extreme situations like being caught in an avalanche or something like that. That's not going to happen to most people, but we do have stressful situations that happen to us all the time, and unpredictable ones, and breathwork and cold immersion has its application in our lives in terms of helping us deal with stress. I'm wondering if you can let us know a little bit about how breathwork and cold immersion can help get us through, by staying in our center, get us through those stressful moments. And then we'll go into a little bit about what this facilitator training is all about and who it might suit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's very simple. Like the cold, physical stress is for the body the same, reacts the same as in mental stress. So if you get used to the cold many times, you can deal with stress. And stress is one of the most important factors of all kinds of diseases. So if you deal with stress in that way, consciously, instead of that it unconsciously attacks you in certain circumstances and you feel overwhelmed, now you choose consciously to go into the cold, to use your breath to relax, and your heart rate will slow down. And at a certain moment, it's a piece of cake. And the beauty is you train your 100,000 kilometers blood vessels, your heart rate slows down, you become more at ease. Heart disease is number one disease in the world. Your inflammation will be pressed down. So inflammation, 40 to 60 million people die every year of inflammation. It's also going down because of the cold. So your body comes in a natural state where it is totally alert against all kinds of bacteria and viruses. That's what we need in these days, because the circumstances are now so fast changing. You need a way, you need this center. So there, the cold bath helps. It gives you at the same time an enormous energy boost. Dopamine is, I think, and noradrenaline, 250% more, 200% more. All these natural drugs that are inside, we just have to tune in. And that's just by a simple practice. You don't need hours and hours of practice. Just 1 or 2 minutes, and then you've got a good health for the rest of your life. If you keep on doing this, that are the natural habits we have to take on in these difficult circumstances, because the changing physically and mentally is now going so fast. You need a center. So the cold helps, the breathing helps. The breathing is a kind of remote control of your emotions. With the breathing, you get more oxygen into the body, into the cells. Your cells become more oxygenated. That means the burning becomes better, inflammation becomes less. Autoimmune diseases can be pushed down. There are talks, or there are stories of people who wrote a book because their autoimmune disease was totally zero. In that way, they had more energy, they had more possibilities of using their body, and didn't have inhibitions anymore because of this cold, because of the breathing. So these two bases, and then together we do also some yoga, because I see the body as a streaming river. If there are blocks, you have to get it streaming again. Then you begin getting in more breath. It goes to the mitochondria, the energy supplies of the cell. Very beautiful. A lot of research going on, but you want an experience that you feel better. And that's what we are going to discover. You feel better, you're mentally more clear, you've got more energy. At the same time, you know what you want, because you play with all these states of consciousness, states of mind. From you go from beta to theta and delta, very deep, relaxed state. At that state, we use also the breath to change old programming, old ideas. So there's a lot of going on. In a few days, you can change a lot. And that means not changing who you are, but changing all the programming, all the ideas you have about yourself. Because there's a lot of bullshit on, a lot of things that don't work anymore in this adult life, whatever that is, where it's too much blocked. So we want to unblock the whole thing, the whole apparatus, the whole beautiful body, and make it work again to this natural flow, where the energy mentally and physically goes naturally and powerfully, and where you feel this natural connection with everybody and everyone. And then you will know your purpose, you will know your clarity, you know where you go. And at the same time, you feel you're not stuck anymore, you've got choice. That's the focus on everything, you got choice. And from that part, when we feel this natural aliveness, this natural life force, this natural love, we feel in that part all the same. We are love, we are the life force, we want to be loved, we want to give love, because that's our natural state.
Yeah. I think breathwork is an amazing tool to have. I know in my own life, and I've been doing it for a few years, as well as the cold immersion. And with cold immersion, I just started doing the cold showers, and then, eventually got more brave and would have ice baths or go into the cold river. But I've noticed that it's a great tool to have in all different situations, and it's free. Once you learn the technique, and it's free and it's with you all the time. So not only can it release sort of old traumas and densities that might be sitting within your energy field, but I'm a mother of two, and there's moments where little bits of tension might pop up, just, a bit of chaos in the day. I breathe really deep, and it's just because I've learnt those tools, I can just go into it anywhere, anytime. It doesn't have to be a full breathing round, but I just breathe for a few seconds to get through a moment, and I stay really calm and centered to deal with the little bit of chaos that might be going on. And even when there's like bigger things going on, bigger stresses, I found breathwork and cold immersion really, really good at being able to clear my mind, particularly when I go into cold immersion after doing some breathwork. Because I'm very focused and centered, everything leaves my mind. So any like little loops going on, thinking about a situation or stresses or relationship changes or things going on in the media, that can't exist in my mind. And it's so freeing going into cold immersion and doing breathwork and just freeing the mental space as well from all that kind of chaos in the world. And so I completely understand how it releases stress. It's so good for you. And I've got to say that since doing it, I don't remember the last time I've had a cold or the flu. I think I felt, really, really good since I've been doing breathwork and cold immersion. New Zealand's a beautiful place too, because we do have very changeable seasons, and the retreat that we're holding is at the end of May. It's from May 25th to 28th. So we're just at the end of autumn, heading into winter. And we're going to be practicing cold immersion in the local river near the retreat in Otaki. And it's going to be around sort of 8 to 10 degrees. which can be quite challenging if you're not conditioned to doing it. But doing it alongside breathwork and movement, and also the group energy that we will have, like going into the river and practicing, will really help everyone get used to it and really kind of enjoy the experience. Now, I say that because sometimes people are like, how do you enjoy cold immersion? But you do, you kind of start to crave it when you start to get used to it, and then you don't do it. There's actually, your body starts to call out for it. Well, that's in my experience anyway. And my body's like, I feel like I want that cold immersion. It gives me that alertness, and there's something very, very nice about it. And also being in nature is really grounding, like being able to do cold immersion in a river or the ocean. Something very beautiful about that. It's very grounding, very earthing, very connected. Um, so we're lucky that we've got this retreat and we've got Marcel leading us through this. And I have to say that the big difference about this retreat and this facilitator training is that we're putting the bookwork and the academia aside. Now, of course, we're going to be discussing it. There's scientific benefits to breathwork and cold immersion, and we will be going through some of that, but a lot of it is, in the main part, is experience, is being very present, like fully present there with Marcel. We're going to be doing an energy exchange that I talk a little bit about in my own work as an energy alchemist, which is that exchange of information that comes from our energy fields. So if we think about our energy field as this beautiful toroidal shape going around, we're taking information in from the universe, we're sending information out to the universe. We're doing this all the time, whether we're aware of it or not. But our whole life story and all the information that we have sits within our information field. And when our information fields interact with others, we're exchanging some of that information. And the most amazing thing, that when you get the chance to be in the presence of someone who has developed a skill to a level of mastery like Marcel has with his breathwork and cold immersion, there is this amazing presence about his energy field, and there's an exchange that goes on even beyond words. Like, it happens with an information exchange within the energy fields, and it's an amazing frequency to be a part of. And that helps you really gain a type of unspoken information that you can't learn in books. But in addition to that, being very centered and focused in a meditative state, going through all the exercises and the movement and the quantum hypnosis and the breathwork and the cold immersion with Marcel, we're learning through experience, through being. And there's such an in-depth understanding that comes from that you just can't get from doing an online course or from reading a book. So Marcel, what would you like to sort of say to everyone about this type of learning? I know I love this type of learning. Maybe some people have not quite been in a situation where they've received this type of learning, though, especially for the bookworms who love to have everything written down. How would you like to explain this facilitator training?
Yeah, it's in a way very experimental, but it doesn't mean it's. I call it a leap of faith, because you don't know where you go. But it's just the mind. The mind wants to hold on to everything because it wants to be predictability. But if life is very unpredictable, you need a different tool to deal with life. And that's what I mean from living from this unity, living from the heart, and trusting your inner guidance, your intuition, your inner knowledge. That's where I want to go. So maybe we create together a new bookwork. We are just open to whatever comes. That's the best way to go, just because you don't know what the next moment will be. But at the same time, to be alert, to be conscious, to be aware is the best reaction to everything. So everything is a circumstance, but everything brings you back to your inner core. And that's my most important message. In this inner core, we are all the same. We are the life force. And the more you begin to feel that, the more you begin to act from that part, the more you begin to think from that part, from the heart, you will see everything will align itself. You don't need the secondary information anymore from anybody or everywhere. If it is a government, an educator, your parents, or your friend or your whatever, you know yourself, and really tuning in to that part, seeing that you are this source, and then you've got choice. Then there is this quantum field, God, whatever you call it, this possibility, this enormous possibility to choose whatever you want. And that's the way it is, because we are, in a way, always creating. Even if you don't know it, you're still creating, consciously or unconsciously. In a way, this life is an ongoing mirror. So you get everything you're creating or sending out, and lots of things are unconsciously. So it's important to become conscious of that part first and see, okay, what does not work in your life anymore? What do you want to change? And if you don't see it and you cannot do it, you think you cannot do it, you have to go deeper into your unconscious part. So we deal a lot with the conscious part, but also with the unconscious part, where they align in a way. So slowly figuring out where is this thin line between conscious and unconscious, and there you will see your thoughts will be more fluid. And if they become more fluid, they're not stuck anymore. You can play with them. You can choose another thought. That's the part where children mostly are, from 1 to 7, I think, in Theta. They're very imaginary. They're very playful. One moment they cry, another moment they are in a big laughter. So for them, it's all still a play. And because we've got only one way mostly, if you become an adult, you're more in beta, more in thinking. You have got only one perception or one way of thinking, and you think that's me, but you are not stuck. It's an ever-changing thing. But you have to play with these states of consciousness, and then the breathing comes in. It's just like an easier symbol and an easier way physically, because a lot of trauma and PTSD is stuck in your body. You unstuck yourself with the breathing. So it takes like a leap of faith. First, trust me, I just lead you into it, participate or whatever, facilitate this process, just to lead yourself back to yourself, where you know, and you know where to go, what to do, what to feel, how to act or react, because you choose from a conscious choice instead of unconsciously repetition of an old programming, an old conditioning. So the more you become secure, the more of that part, your inner core, your clarity, the more you can surrender to life itself. And then you can surf on the waves of energy, of life, and enjoying what is, because you've got choice. You can choose whatever perception. You're not stuck to one perception. You're not only this personality, you can change your personality. You can change your attention. Then all these things come in, where attention goes, energy flows. And that's in a way true. We are in from the beginning, this pure attention, pure consciousness. Where you put it in, that is the thing you make real. So what do you want to make real? What do you want to bring into existence?
Yeah, I think it's beautiful. I like how you say, leading yourself back, leading you back to yourself and feeling secure. And I think as a facilitator of breathwork and cold immersion, that's going to be really important for people. So I know like this facilitation retreat is designed or aimed at people that have some experience already as health professionals, maybe trainers, personal trainers, coaches, facilitators of other sorts of methods, and people that have already practiced breathwork and hopefully cold immersion a little bit beforehand. There is still time to obviously practice that cold immersion between now and then. We want you to have some experience in this so that we can move into really deep kind of levels around, being led back to your center and feeling really secure within yourself. For me, I find when I go to someone else who's facilitating a session or a practitioner, I notice people that are good and then people that are great. And the difference seems to be a practitioner or facilitator who is very, very present and focused on me as an individual, and is very aware of where I'm at, my energy field, and can be very focused on me. And I think this is something I sense that you're really going to bring out in people, is that ability to be very present with their client or with the group that they're leading through a breathwork and cold immersion session. It's getting us out of our heads in terms of thinking we need to go through this script or this timing and do this now and do that now, and that's the session. I think you'll be bringing out that intuition in people to really be able to kind of read and sense intuitively about where their client is at and how to respond appropriately depending on what's going on for someone. And holding space is incredibly important as a facilitator. And I get the sense that that's going to be something you really develop in us as you really kind of go really deep, you know, within who we are and leading us back to ourselves and making us feel very secure. And that deep transformation that we go through, I feel like our ability to hold space in a very authentic way, in a very heart-led way, is going to be something that really makes a difference for our clients and the groups that come into our space. We know that if we are really present within our heart and congruent, that goes out through our energy field and the space that we're holding for people. Is there anything you'd like to sort of mention around that at all?
Yeah, I just feel into what you say, just like I do with everything. And it's absolutely true. Space holding is literally space holding. You are the space. There's no personality anymore. There is just the space for whatever is happening. And if that is a group or another person or a circumstance, you are the space. And interesting is there, I feel the most, that's me. That's the real me. The rest is just what I learned, what came in with programming, education, what learned behavior. Also great because you have to interact in this world and you have to know some things, but it is not you. It's just a program. When you are this space and feeling this spaciousness and this limitlessness, there you feel the other person directly. There is no nothing in between, and it has an enormous beauty because at the same time you're totally in your heart. There's only love for whatever is happening. So that's why I also like doing the workshops and the retreats. It's not me doing something. It's the more I stand out of the way, the more I let everything happen, being the space for whatever happens. So this space holding is not in a way something you do, it's something you are. So you're not doing something. That's from the mind. How do you do that? There is no how. It's just seeing and observing and being alert and being there, being present, and just opening up to whatever there is and without resistance, because it's just being. And then you feel your inner core. And it's a very beautiful way also to learn how, because that is also the message, discovering this inner core. So all these perceptions, we play with all these perceptions. You see, you are not stuck to one kind of thinking. And John, going back to your basis, which is just space holding in a way, but also space. If you learn that with somebody else as a reflection, as a mirror, you can do that also to yourself. Space holding for yourself, embracing everything, all of life of yourself, every thought, every idea, every feeling. It's just life. There is no good or bad. It's just life, which is happening. It's just love. It's just life expressing itself in that particular way. That's you too, and it's me too, and that's everybody. So the moment you do that, the moment you discover yourself, and the moment discover all, because we are all one in that part.
That's beautiful. I agree. um, so we're so lucky to have you here in the country doing this facilitation retreat for us. So we hope that if you're listening and you're interested, please get in touch. I can answer any questions by phone, email, messenger, and I will leave the details of how to register in the comments below as well. Marcel, do you have any finishing comments or anything you'd like to say before we finish up?
Yeah, I've got 45 years of experience. I see more and more that it is not just a little about breathing and cold, because when we began 30 years ago, nobody did it. And now everybody's doing it and everybody is a specialist, and it's beautiful. But at the same time, it's more also about the transmission of energy. So it depends on who is bringing this breathing and this cold and what is the message behind. It is very important. And at the same time, it's not just a simple facilitator training. There's also a lot of knowledge which you only have after 30 or 40 years doing this. Then you see what is the message behind, because even breath and even the cold are just ceremonies to bring people back to their inner core. They get a lot more than just trying out how the breathing works, and which is powerful. and seeing how the cold works with all its benefits, but more and more and more, even bringing them back to the real core where they feel at ease. So all disease can finally disappear because it's just a programming.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Marcel, for your time, and thank you very much for listening. All the details will be listed below, and I hope to see you at the retreat.
Thank you.